So this is lesson 26 in Algebra 2, trinomial factoring and overlapping right triangles. So factoring trinomials, this is something that you will be using regularly in your math career. So I don't know if you did this in Algebra 1 or not. I'm assuming so, since the book doesn't go into a lot of details. But first of all, what we're going to do when we're looking at a trinomial is we're going to put it in the correct order. So it's always the x squared, and then the x, and then nothing. So we're going to flip things around a little bit, like that. Get it in that order. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take two parentheses here. And when you have an x squared, you're going to put an x here and an x there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find two numbers. When multiplied together, give you 6, and added together, give you 5. In fact, multiplied together, they give you a positive 6. Added together, give you a negative 5. So what are our options? We have 6 and 1, negative 6 and negative 1, because those give you a positive 6. 3 and 2 give you a positive 6, but so do negative 3 and negative 2. And I think that's it. So, which ones multiply together give you positive 6, added up give you negative 5. Those two right there. So we put those in there, and we are done. So that's factoring, and that's the way it works for everyone. Two numbers multiplied together give you 6, added together give you negative 5. So you put all the factors of 6 down and pick which one not only multiplies to give you positive 6, but added gives you negative 5. So it's this one here, and you just put those numbers in there. It doesn't matter if you put the 3 here, or the 3 here, the 2 here, and the 2 here. It doesn't matter as long as they're there. So what happens in example 2, where we have negative x squared plus 5x plus 14. We don't like this negative here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the negative out. So we're going to take it out, and we'll call it a negative 1. But when we take a negative off of the x and make it positive, we have to change the sign of everything else as well. Okay, see what I did there? So and we've done this before. Whenever you take the negative off of the x, you have to change the sign of everything else too. But the negative doesn't go away. It just comes outside, like right there, and we just put a 1 there. You don't have to necessarily put a 1. We could have had it just a negative out there. In fact, let's just leave the negative out there right now. And now we're going to look, and we're going to factor this down. So again, two parentheses, an x there and an x there, because whatever's there is what we put in. Two numbers multiplied together that give you negative 14, added together give you negative 5. So let's see what we've got. We have negative 14 times 1, positive 14 times negative 1, 2 times negative 7 times 2, because a negative times a positive gives me a negative, so they have to be opposite signs. Those are the only factors of 14. So which one adds up to give me negative 5? This one right there. So I'm going to put a negative 7 in there and a plus 2, and put that negative that's got to continue down with us. And at that point, I am done. So let's look at the third example. 24 plus 6x minus 3x squared. I'm going to have to flip it around, because you always have the x squared first, and then the x, and then the 24. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can factor anything here. I don't like this number right there, so I'm going to see if I can factor anything out. So what is common to all three of those there? I'll get rid of that. This is a negative 3 times 1. This is a 3 times 2, and this is a 3 times 8. So now let's just leave that 3 times 1. So I've got a 3. Whoops, wrong button. I've got a 3 here, a 3 here, and a 3 here, so I'm going to factor that out. And what do I have left? I have a negative x squared plus 2x plus 8. So I had whatever was left over here. Okay, I also have a negative here, and I don't like that, so I'm going to pull that negative out. And remember, when you change the sign of the x squared, you have to change the sign of everything else as well. So I end up with that. Now, this is where I'm going to factor into two binomials. So let's leave that negative 3 there, but we're going to factor that down. So I'm looking for two numbers multiplied together, give me negative 8, added, give me negative 2. So let's look at the negative 8 here. So negative 8 times 1, 8 times negative 1, 2 times negative 4, negative 2 times 4. So which one of those add up to be negative 2? These two right there. So I'll put an x there and an x there and a plus 2 and a minus 4 there, and I am done. So we'll look at one more. 32x squared plus 12x cubed minus 2x to the fourth. So let's put it in the right order. Okay, and let's see if we can factor anything out. So let me erase my tops up here so I can put my... So I've got a 2 here, I've got a 2 and a 6 there, and I have a 2 and a 16 there. So I've got a 2 that I can take out, and then what am I left with? Here I'm left with a negative 1, x to the fourth plus 6x cubed plus 16x squared. Now let's look at my x's. Well, I have 4 there, 3 there, and 2 there. So common, the closest, all I have in common is an x squared. So I'm going to pull the x squared out, and that one will go away. And this one will turn into a 1, and this one will turn into a squared. Since I took 2 out, I have 2 left. And 2 plus 2 is 4. So let's rewrite what I've got. Alright, now let's pull the negative out. And the sign of everything in there changes. Alright, so that's as simple as I can go. Now I'm going to try to factor it into two binomials. Leave my negative 2x squared there. Two numbers multiplied together give me negative 16. So I have negative 16 and 1, positive 16, negative 1, 4 and negative 4, and negative 4 and 4, which doesn't really matter if I put those. 2 and negative 8, and negative 8 and 2. Alright, so which ones, when I add them together, are going to give me a negative 6. 4 and negative 4 is 0. So that can't work, that can't work. These don't give me a negative 6, those don't. 2 and negative 8 give me a negative, whoops, this should be a positive 8 and a negative 2. Alright, so 2 and negative 8, the difference between those is 6, put the sign of the biggest one on there, we got a negative 6. So 2 minus 8 is negative 6, so that's the one that's going to work. So plus 2 minus 8. And there's our completed answer there for that problem. Okay, next video is going to go over overlapping right triangles.